good to have your company. First tonight to a real care and the community story. Chelsie Richardson's world was turned upside down when her mum Sarah died from COVID in October at the age of just 42. She was a single mum to 5. Chelsie, at 21, is the eldest and now the sole carer of her siblings. An impossible situation for any young woman looking after her 2 brothers and 2 sisters. But on top of that, she's training to be a nurse. Well, when her local community in Leeds heard about her situation, they rallied around the whole family, as Heidi Tomlinson now reports.
Have you got your maths? Have you got your key?
A busy morning routine. Seeing younger siblings off to school and college is big sister Chelsea's responsibility. She stepped into the caring role after their mum died last year.
See you later. Bobby, wait a minute. See ya.
42-year-old mum of 5, Sarah Richardson, contracted COVID and developed a blood disorder. She passed away in October.
My mum was amazing, my dad's not been around, so it's always been my mum.
So she was like the only person we had, and now she's gone, so, you know, think about her every day and, yeah.
She's pretty and help people.
Well, it's been hard, but then my sister's brought us all together and done everything for us.
Not only has she taken the reins of home life, 21-year-old Chelsie is a trainee nurse at St James's in Leeds. She's grieving, but puts aside her feelings to bolster the family.
She was everything to me. I'm really sorry. She'd do everything for us. She was my rock and I was her rock.
You've taken on so much, Chelsie. Are you coping?
It's difficult. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know what I was expecting. But it's definitely a lot harder than I anticipated.
So today, a special delivery to help. The Milford Sports Club nominated the family in a competition to win a year's supply of meat.
We got 805 applications. When we came across Chelsea's, you know, there were no doubt about it, we're a worthy winner. I'm really, really pleased we found somebody who deserves it.
Phil's friend Neil the grocer has also pledged weekly fruit and veg.
It puts into perspective your little silly things that you've got going on that actually really aren't that massive. They're just minute when you look at what Chelsea's got to do, because I've got to be honest, there's not a lot of girls at Chelsea's age could take on what she's doing.
I just want to say thank you because you don't actually realise how much it means and how much it does help.
It'll make everyday life easier as Chelsie ploughs on with her unexpected responsibilities. What would your mum think about you doing all of this?
I hope she'd be proud. She raised me to be strong and do the best that I can, and I'm trying my best. So I hope she's proud.
Well, a little earlier on I spoke to Lucy Peake from the Kinship charity. Now, Kinship care is when, like Chelsie, the role of the parents is undertaken by other relatives. I began by asking her just how big an issue Kinship care is across the country.
There are around 200,000 children growing up with relatives in kinship care across the country. That's about 3 times more than in foster care. But we just don't hear about these children as much. They're relatively invisible, and often their carers need more support.
And what do we know about the benefits of kinship, say, versus foster care, for instance?
Well, kinship carers have done what I think we'd all want in our own family. If something happened and we needed someone to look after our children, we'd all prefer, I think, that they would stay within our family, that maybe, you know, grandparents or brothers or sisters would step forward. And that's really because outcomes are better for children if they remain with their extended family. And that's because there's a prior relationship with the carer. They're more likely to stay with their brothers and sisters and to have that continuity of care. So the kinship carer is there for them as long as they need that. There's not that same cliff edge that you get in the care system when children have to leave when they're 18.
We know Chelsea's being assisted by her local authority. She says she'll do anything to keep her family together, and she's been assisted by her family. Clearly, there's a great deal of love there, but not everybody has that kind of support around them, do they?
Now, Chelsea's a remarkable young woman, and I think she's lucky that she lives in the place that she does, because West Yorkshire councils are at the forefront, really, of developing good practice when it comes to supporting kinship carers. So unfortunately, it's a postcode lottery. So in some places, kinship carers like Chelsie just wouldn't get the support that she's getting. We think if you're a child in kinship care, if you're a kinship carer, it shouldn't matter whether you're in Bradford, in Birmingham or in Basingstoke. Every single child in kinship care and every carer should have access to the support they need. And it's really good to see that in West Yorkshire that includes support for the child and the carer, and that support should shift as the child grows older. We don't know what support those children will need as they grow up. But also financial support. It's really important that carers who've stepped in to keep children out of the care system, often in a crisis, in a way that they hadn't planned, are able to get financial support to cover the costs of raising those children.
Clearly, Chelsea's a young lady, 22 years old, and as we mentioned, has support. Is there a support around there for other people in that similar position in their early 20s? And what more could be done to help people like that?
So one of the things I think needs to happen is there must be greater awareness. About a quarter of kinship carers are brothers and sisters, so they will often be in their 20s. And obviously that is changing their lives in dramatic ways. And Chelsea's dealing with so many complex issues all at one time. When she's establishing her own career and would have had other plans. So it's really important that she can get advice and information so she can make informed choices about the future, but also connect with other kinship carers in a situation like hers.
OK, Lucy Peake, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Well, if you or someone you know has been affected by the issues raised in tonight's report on Chelsie, you can contact the BBC Action Line via bbc.co.uk/action line for details of organisations which offer advice and support.